Welcome everyone, I am Dr. Zeus. Today I bring you a new deck profile. This time I want to show you the deck list that I carried to the online regionals held in Europe by Raid and Trade. This is the deck list that I have been working on during these weeks since BT9 release, but as a background I need to explain some things before taking on to this deck profile. The background was that I have been playtesting Alphamons for so long. Uh, Actually, I was playing this deck in BT8. Even in that moment, it seemed like a really good one, at least until EX2 was released, and then suddenly the blue hybrids were popular again, and Tommy was a really bad card against this deck. We couldn't rely on having a board on the table for so many turns. So, what has changed is that we have received a ton of support, we have received a ban list, a lot of things have happened. So, before explaining this decklist, I want to show you the decklist I took to an store championship event held in Madrid 2 weeks ago that I managed to win with this version of the deck. So, in that moment, my opinion of the deck was really different than the one that we have right now, and I was focusing on just blocking the threats with the blocker protection effect, just like War Greymon, Metal Garuru, Grandis Kuwamon, you want blockers to survive. So that's why I was always breaking with no level 4, so I added one copy of Kinrymon, which grants us blocker. And the rest seemed pretty standard. I decided to run 3 Breath of the Gods to get protection against Billstarmon, and 3 copies of Yuji just to have 9 rookies and have a lot of probabilities of having the tamers on the security stack and punish the random attacks, the random checks. So mainly my task here is to survive to an OTK and then revenge kill my opponent. Most decisions has been some decisions are still applying to my current deck list, but the mindset is so different. So we shouldn't be looking at this anymore. A lot of players are still running Ginrymon, but it's not optimal. So moving on to the current decklist, which is the one I took to the event, you can see that there are a few changes. Let's move to Cardev. So first of all, in order to understand this deck list, we need to understand the deck and how it works, and we need to understand the format. Let's start with the deck. The deck, it's not a stack into OTK deck as it seems. Most players commit the mistake of just disrespect this deck because it's just it's a black version of Jesmon, blah blah blah. If you want to be scared of a stack into OTK deck, just look on Grandis Kuwamon. That is the new Jesmon. This deck acts more like a mid-range playstyle with a lot of removal effects and protections to apply pressure and get over your opponent. So it is really common to reach turn 6 or 7 with this deck, and in that turn this deck becomes just unbeatable because you can get a lot of advantage of memory and cards and draws out of nowhere. You can be losing a game, then just top deck a random Dex Doru or maybe a random Alphamon and then just kill your opponent. That's it. It's just like fighting a Dark Souls boss fight. you can never know when they will just kill you from one shot. This is something that most decks in BT9 format share, like Metal Garurumon, like Grandis. They tend to just one shot you if you let them, and we actually can do that. But if you are playing correctly, that's not even needed. You can just put yourself on a really good situation and establish complete control of the game. And from then, you don't even need to OTK your opponent. You can just make the right checks on the right moment, and that's it. That's how we win the games. What about the format? The format has, in my opinion, 3 types of decks, which are, the stack decks, just like Grandis, Metal Garuru, the Alphamon mirror matchup, maybe War Greymon, Gaiomon, they try to stack into OTK or stack into a winning condition. These decks are relatively fast or slow depending of who you are asking, but the most common playstyle is to just establish a memory choke competition while you are setting up your searchers and gathering your pieces. In this situation, 4 things can happen. If you brick and your opponent doesn't, you have lost. If both of you brick, as you are playing with more consistency and more searchers, you should be able to escape first from the brick and win the game. If you don't brick and your opponent does, you will win the game anyways. And if no one of you brick, then the faster deck is the one who wins. So in this situation, we could say that if Grandis opens with a perfect hand, it will just crush you. If Metal Garuru opens with all the pieces, then it will crush you. That's not evitable. Or is it? Let's see it later. But often, Alphamon has higher chances to unbrick faster, and that's why, in my opinion, it is the best deck choice of them all. The second group of decks could be the aggro decks, focus on a level 3 or 4 rush playstyle, just like Rookie Rush, Commandramon, Armor Rush. These decks are not actually good. They don't draw as many cards as they should, so they cannot keep the tempo, and they depend on the opponents to have brick in order to achieve big wins. So you cannot expect that your opponent is bricking as often as you would like, especially in a tournament where anything can happen, and it is a pretty long tournament. You won't have 8 rounds of opponents bricking in each game. That's why I would not play this kind of decks. There could be exceptions like Commandramon, which have strong removal options in the security, but that's just like playing a worse version of Billstarmon. Maybe Armor Rush has Megadeth, which is pretty strong and cheap, but the situation is the same. You are not drawing cards consistently, so you are losing gas during all the game. Once you have run out of gas, you have lost. It doesn't matter if your opponent doesn't have securities if you cannot kill them. So that's it. The other thing about these decks is that they attack you, but they don't win you. So as they don't have lethal, they are randomly checking your tamers, your memory boost, and even losing their board pressure because their Digimons die while attacking. So unless you brick really hard, these decks are pretty winnable. And last, the control playstyle decks, which are Security Control, Mastimon, and the Reaper. There tend to be decks that actually don't play the Digimon TCG. Especially the Reaper is pretty winnable. So if you win the die roll, you have the complete game at your favor. You cannot lose a game against the Reaper if you have won the die roll, because they rely so much on having won the die to have a mother set with 6 or more materials as fast as possible, and they will never reach that situation. They will always be killed before that. And security control is really bad this format, because they cannot actually control well how much memory they gave to the opponent. So you can crush them. You can just crush them. Finally, Mastimon feels like a deck that contains 4 Chaos Degrades and 46 bad cards. You are not losing against this description. You are often losing against someone that kills you faster or someone that controls you, but that's not the deck that is going to win you. Okay, so this is the environment and we have explained the deck, so let's move to the deck choices and the cards itself. 4 copies of Dorimon. You will really never need a 5th DGX, and you won't draw power, so Dorimon is perfect. Funny part, you can, as this is an X antibody card, you can grab it back with your effects like Alphamon and get a new draw, which is a cool interaction. And well, against security control, this is a common question. Do you need a 5th DGX against security control? No, I don't. Often you win on the 3rd one pretty consistently. Unless they draw 2 or 3 copies of Sakuyamon, you will always be safe. And I'm not scared of security control because we're playing combos in this deck, so we don't even need to worry that much. 4 copies of Dorimon. Dorimon is pretty good. I mean, I think it's the best rookie. Often this rookie is so good that if I don't have a level 4 in hand and I'm going first, I save Dorumon on hand, because I rather to keep it in hand rather than Ryudamon or Qmon. So this is a common play that can win you some games. You save your Dorumon because you don't have a level 4, so you don't actually need your level 3 in the stack, in the breeding. Maybe you start, play Cool Boy, search your level 4, and then your opponent has the feeling that you are brick because you don't have level 3. So then your opponent tries to overextend their board, and you will punish that later. So this play has won me so much games. Well, Ryudamon, it's a good card. It's the one you'd rather to play, to hard play. It adds an X antibody card and Yuji. Let's remember that they add cards and not Digimons, so these two are pretty good. And the decoy effect is insane. People forgive completely about the decoy effect, so when it comes out they lose the game instantly. They just expend so much resources on killing something, and then you just save it with decoy and your opponent feels like cheated. Pretty strong. 2 copies of Qmon. Memory blockers are pretty good this format, and if we can carry one of them in the deck, we should. Especially some decks cannot afford this, just like Garurumon, which has very little room to Modokis, but we have Qmon, which is insane, and we can even protect him with decoy. So, well, the only bad part about Qmon is having only 1 KDP, but this format, the yellow color doesn't exist, so there is not actually any card that will just minus 1k1000 on him, and that's why we are playing Qmon. Common question, what about the BT9 Dorumon? Alright, that card is just bad, because you are not getting any value of him. Often, you only have one level 3 in hand, and if it is that Doruma, you are not getting any value from him, because you will just put it in the breeding area just like any other rookie, and it won't have any inherited effect, so pretty useless. Also, there is almost no situation when you really want to discard something and draw 2 random cards, because you have a lot of options, tamers, and you don't actually want to discard your piece because you could miss it in the later turns, you know. That's why Qmon is perfect for this role. Also, there are a lot of memory boost this format, so Qmon can shoot down all of them. Drugamon, level 4, the best card in the deck, or at least one of the best, because all the strong plays start with this guy in breeding, promote, and then everything comes out. Having blocker is pretty good this format, especially since the average game consists in your opponent has blown up your securities and you need to survive, so having extra blockers will save you a lot of times. Dex Derugamon. Alright, if you ask me about what happened to the ban list and the limitation of Darugray, I could have said that the right ban lead touch would be to this guy. This guy means everything in this deck. Often, all your strong plays are dependent of this guy. So, if you want to get your value out of your cool boys, you will need this guy. If you want to establish a blocker with retaliation, you will need this guy. If you want memory to perform your OTK, you will want this guy. That's it. This guy is responsible of maybe the half of the win rate of the complete deck. Especially, it is involved in many shortcuts that I have against some decks. Just like this guy is the win condition against Metal Garurumon. It is also a win condition against a lot of other decks. Well, it's insane. The last one copy of Grumblemon. It feels really greedy to have a hybrid on the deck, which is not an X antibody card, and you can't access it to it consistently. But let me share you a secret. If we are running one-offs, this deck has a lot of draw power and a lot of searchers. You are mostly seeing each card of your deck in each game, so running a one-off is not bad. So don't be afraid of playing one-offs in your deck, because you will see them pretty consistently. So as most decks don't actually win you the game, they have a really bad time by killing you. They can just go for all the security checks and leave you without securities, but they don't actually win against you. Grumblemon has a strong synergy with Oryuken, since you can just attack with Oryuken, then get memory on the end of turn, and then go for Grumblemon for game. Feels good to have one copy in the deck. Then, well, the level 5s. 4 copies of Dorugray. Well, this card was the one touch in the Japanese ban list. I don't think this was necessary, since this guy's pretty bad. I mean, the protection effect is really bad this format, since all the removal is oriented to bounce back the Digimons, Megadeth, Cocytus Breath. Even the green decks are running Electroshocker just to bounce back Alphamon because of this protection. If everyone is playing around the protection, then the protection is bad by definition. So DP reduction doesn't exist this format, so there is no reason to have this card as a dangerous one. Yeah, it grants security +1 to the Digimon. That's cool, but that's what basically any other deck has. It's an effect that's pretty generic. All archetypes will have this effect in some way or another, so pretty static. Well, the only situations when I use the when Digivolving effect are maybe against Bellstarmon and just to attach Dorumon or something I'm missing, just to get memory and perform a cheaper combo. So if we have already a Dorumon in the stack, or we attach a new one, this guy doesn't evolve for 3, this guy evolves for 2 or less. So that's it. It's a good card, but it's not as really good as we should, since this guy, Doruga and Dex Doruga, are the heart of the deck. And the last, Dex Doru Grey, only 2 copies. The step from level 5 to level 5 decks is not as good as the level 4 into the level 4 decks. For example, let's say we have already Doruga into decks, we get value from Cool Boys, then we go to Doru Grey, we get protection, blah blah blah. We pass turn. Then if we digivolve into Dex Doru Grey, we are not getting as much value, as this guy can actually die to deletion effects, so it doesn't feel as good as the turn when you digivolve into Dex Doruga, because getting multiple memories and multiple card draws because of the Cool Boys with Doruga makes you digivolve from 0, gives you a lot of value, but digivolve from 1 and then gaining some value doesn't feel just as good. So that's why we are just running 2 copies, because this guy is useless without Doru Grey. And well, the deletion effect is pretty situational. Maybe to delete random level 4 blocker or a random level 3 memory blocker or whatever. That's why I tend to save Dex Doru Grey, because if I'm not getting any value from him, I just save it in the hand, because maybe I am doing the OTK combo and I don't want to spend 1 card in Dex Doru Grey over Doru Grey, but in a later turn I could need to delete memory blocker, just as an example. So it's not so good as Dex Doruga, but we need to carry it. And finally, Chimeramon. Chimeramon was the MVP of the complete tournament, and I think this card has basically been born to be an ex-antibody card, because the effect, when digivolving, we can place a level 5 or lower Digimon under its sources. That actually triggers Dorumon's Inheritate effect and Dorimon's one. That's insane. After that is done, up to 4 of your opponent Digimons get less 1 KDP for each of its colors. So we have a minimum of white color and black color, so we can clean up to 4 Gazimons, up to 4 memory brokers. Then after resolution, when this effect has resolved, we can just activate Dorumon and activate Dorimon, getting memory and getting card draws. So this is insane. Often we can even perform a combo. We can just go Doruga, promote Doruga, go into Dex Doruga, discard maybe a Dorumon or maybe even Doru Greymon, and then go for Chimera for 4, then attach the card we just discard and clean the board. This interaction is insane, because we can just clean a complete board for 2 or 3, and well, if we attach the Grey, we are not even losing pressure. We are keeping the aggression, because next turn this Chimeramon can digivolve into Alphamon and attack for security +1. Chimeramon is insane, and well, especially against Billstarmon, some players say, what's your response against multiple Gazimons on the late game? Chimeramon. In the late game, I will see Chimeramon and it will blow up the complete battle area. Also, if we digivolve an Icemon, Scatter Mode, or maybe a Dobermon, with Alphamon, then their DP reduction will apply and the rookie will be deleted and they won't get any value from Iceman. Chimeramon is such a beast. And well, it's also it is just a I win card. It feels like it steals the games against, Armor Rush, Deep Brigade. It stole completely the game against the Reaper in the format because if you, let's say you are going first, you make level 3, level 4 on the stack, it doesn't matter which level 4, then he starts, he makes double Searcher or Searcher plus Pendulum Feed. So if they open with double Searcher, pass you to whatever memory you need, you promote, you go for Chimeramon, and you have just win the game because they have lost 2 Searchers and you are attacking with a big body of 8k, and as the majority of its securities will be copies of Searcher, you can attack safely and keep the aggression. Chimeramon is insane and no one expects it. I could even make the DNA once, getting a lot of value from my play. I had double Doru, 1 Dori, and I got so much value for 0. Alright, the next are the level 6s, 3 copies of Oriumon and 3 copies of Alphamon. These 2 guys are insane. So, in my opinion, if a player is good enough to play Oriumon correctly, that is a good Alphamon player, because this guy by its own is a boss monster. Some matchups cannot even interact with him, so just like War Greymon. If this guy is indestructible and it has blocker, and your opponent cannot actually interact with him, and that's pretty valuable because when digivolving we can place an antibody card underneath and get protection, get plus KDP, and delete at cost less or less. Yeah, a lot of useful things to going on. But this guy helps you to green, and the grind game is the most important part of this deck. Also, Oriumon punishes really hard when your opponent breaks, especially against Garurumon. They have cheap level 4s, just like promo Garurumon, which cost 4. You can just promote and go into Oriumon, and then your opponent has lost the game because they break and their only chance to keep the tempo was to hard play a level 4. You can just take that level 4 out and you have basically won the game. You can even just attack with Oriumon for 2 or 3 turns until the game is finished. Finally, 3 copies of Alphamon. This guy is awesome. This guy as well, if we consider that Chimeramon effect is powerful, you have seen nothing. Alphamon is insane. All the Digimons that have breached your trash are now a toolbox for Alphamon. You can get whatever you need. If you need more DP, you get Doruga. If you need memory, you get Doru. If you need security attack +1, you get Doru Grey. If you need the complete combo, you get Oriumon. Alphamon is insane, and the Digivolution one effect helps you a lot against most matchups. It is never actually good. It is never actually bad. Against Armor Rush, this card just owns that deck. Against, random undulation effects, just like the Beelstarmon level 4s, or even in a mirror match, you can just Digivolve an Oryuken and turn it into a killable thing and just attack overhit. So Alphamon is great, no matter what. Finally, 2 copies of Oryuken. Only just 2, because actually we don't need Oryuken in any given combo. Often we only play Oryuken if the deletion effect when digivolving is important, or if we are attacking something that has strong digis that could appear on the security stack, just like Defexmon, Metal Garuru and War Greymon are running the Blitz Omnimon with 14k. The mirror match could have 1 copy of Oryuken. Even in that case, we keep this Oryuken with 1 Dorugamon to have it 17 DP and not die to the security. Uh, that's it. Against Armor Rush, against Pierstamon, against Commandramon, against even Grindex, that its strongest body is Grandis with 12 KDP. We can just keep on Alphamon, have it have 13 with Dorugas, and then go for game. We don't actually need Oryuken, but yeah, it's good to have. And well, the end of turn effect is broken, it's just broken. We cannot negate that. Against the control decks, we can just create a loop with multiple Oryukens and Alphamon. Alphamon having them as the evolution source, then go for Oryuken. Oryuken can return the other Oryuken to the deck, so we never will be deck out, and we have the full combo in the right order to be performed again and again and again until we win. This card is insane, but yeah, we don't want to break. That's why we are running just 2 copies. We could even consider to just run 1 copy, but if it appears on security, we have no ways to return them if we are running just 1. So, just 2, and well, we will never consider the 3rd copy because in that case we should have the same probabilities to see Oryuken than the same to see Oryu or Alpha, and that's not good because we could be losing a game for having 2 Oryukens in hand instead of Alphamon and 1 Oryuken. We don't want that to happen, and that's why we are running just 2 copies. Now, let's move into the consistency engines. We have 3 copies of Black Memory Boost. Black Memory Boost is a better version overall than Coda. It lets you add any Black Digimon, not just X-Antibody ones. So if you are in your first turn and you need a rookie, you will often use this card before Coda, just to grab a random human, because you have probabilities of human being your only level 3 in your early, so that's why we should prioritize the memory boost cards rather than Coda. And also against Gaiomon, if you see Agumon or Koromon, you should be just baiting them to make Wargrey, Black Wargrey, to kill just one of your tamers and then continue playing other ones. So Black Memory Boost is pretty strong. The main reason to be playing 3 and 2 Kotas is because this format is pretty oriented to memory choke your opponent. So Kota prevents your opponent from memory choking you, but as they also forgive to memory choke you because they have no reasons to do it if you have Kota, they will accelerate their plans. So it's pretty contradictory. So Kota is good when you're going second, you are at 2 memory, you just have play a Kota for 4, pass turn. Passing the opponent to 2 is not as impactful as passing to 1, or 3, but yeah. It's a good card overall, but that's it. In my opinion, I should have run this ratio, which seems better. And for the rest of tamers, we have 2 copies of Yuji. Yuji is pretty strong in the late game since it lets you have extra materials to your Alphamons, just like extra Oryumon to additional attacks, or maybe more Dorugrays to have more checks, but it is still situational. The reason to run just 2 copies is because we don't want to open of Yuji. Actually, we even don't want to open with Kota in our starting hand, so that's why we are running just 2 copies. If it appears in the security, it's great, but in the late game, when we have complete control of the game, we can play Yuji for 3 and continue applying pressure with the pressure, but yeah, that's it. Coolboy is insane. This guy needs no introductions. This guy has been the card that has generated more controversy of the complete BT9 booster pack. The main reason because this Coolboy is so good in this deck is that this is the deck that gets the most value of him. The on-play effect. This deck all has so much targets that it is scary. All the Digimons are basically targets. If you play this card in Greymon or in Garuru, you can fail, but here you cannot. That's why this card is insane. Having a cost of 2 is too broken for a searcher. And the other effect is that if we digivolve into an X antibody with the same level, let's say we evolve from Doru Grey to Dex, or maybe to Doru to Dex Doru, we get 1 memory and draw 1. That's why in the late game we are unbeatable. If we have 2 or more cool boys, we are basically playing Yu-Gi-Oh! We don't need memory to any of our plays because we are just cheating. We are just cheating with memory, and that's why this deck is unbeatable in the late game. We can get so much memory and so much card draws that we will see the whole deck once or twice per game. No deck can just do that, and this writes you to deck build around Cool Boy perfectly. So that's why we are running one-offs of Gramblemon and Chimeramon, because these cards are good in the late game and we will draw into them. We will. That's a fact. And that's something important. Because if we are running, let's say, 1 copy of a random removal option against a random deck, we are going to watch. We are going to draw that card and we are going to win that game. This is the power of the deck. And this is why the deck is so good. Finally, 5 copies of the Lifesavers. Breath of the Gods. The only removal option effects that we are scared of are the bouncing ones, and Breath protects us from that. Also, in the security, it's just Waboku. If this card appears in the security, we are safe. We are safe of any attacks from the Digimon of your opponent during the turn. So we can survive the OTKs and we can just promote later, clean the board and establish presence, and we have basically stalled the game. Revenge kill is the best way of killing your opponent in this format, and these 2 options help us to accomplish this. The last one is Congo. Congo is pretty useful against the random aggro decks that are becoming popular this format, and against security control. Since I didn't want to think so much in a long tournament, I decided to include 2 copies of Congo, because this card is insane whenever it comes out. Even against Grandis and Garuru, this card is also good in security because basically it makes you survive, and if you survive you can just revenge kill your opponent in your next turn. So as long as your opponent is not killing you, you cannot die. And that's everything for the deck decisions. This is the most consistent deck list I have this far. The only games where I had really bad hands that could be considered bricks were against security control, and I was lucky because, you know, security control gives you a lot of time just to think about what you're doing and what you will do and to gather your pieces. So, well, another thing we discovered during this tournament was that Congo has a strong synergy with Chimeramon. So if I play Congo, my opponent will overextend, we will play more rookies and stuff, and then you can just Chimeramon them and make a 1x4 or something like that, and that's insane. It took me both games against Commandramon out of nowhere, you know. And how to win against each matchup? I think we have no bad matchups at all. The worst matchup could be Grandis Kugaramon or Metal Garurumon if they don't brick, or if they open really fast and you open really slow. The deck often loses to itself more than against an opponent. Just to resume some of the matchups against Grandis, for example, against the Grandis Kugamon deck, your main plan is to just gather the pieces for a quick OTK play, and If your opponent unbricks before you do, then your game plan is based on the options. If you have Congo on your hand, he can't kill you. So you can just play Congo from hand and survive, because they won't attack with any random rookies or any hybrid Digimon. So if the grand display will take out your securities, will give you memory boosts and tamers to perform your next play, and then you will just one-shot him. This playstyle is pretty consistent. Against Metal Garuru, we have a play that involves a random rookie. Let's say Doru or Ryuda, that has been played before with the on-play effect granting you something. Then you promote your Doruga, Digivolve into Dex Doruga, grant blocker and retaliation to your rookie, then use Breath of the Gods to your rookie. And ideally, if you can evolve your level 4 into a level 5. If you do this, you will have a rookie with 1000 DP that has blocker and retaliation, and it's not able to be bounced back. And a level 5 that is half of the stack that you will need to your next turn. So, let's say you have your cool boys, you get the value from Dex Daruga, and you do this play. Your opponent promotes, tries to attack, you block with retaliation, he loses his stack, and he cannot bounce your Digimons because this one cannot be bounced back and is the lowest level one. So Metal Garuru X cannot bounce back your level 5, and where Garuru X also cannot, because it only bounce backs the level 4 lower. Then you Digivolve Dorugrei into Dex Dorugrei, get more value from Cool Boy, then go for Alphamon, and then for game. Easy GG. Against the mirror match, it's really funny, but you always need to be patient and be the second one attacking. Because if they promote before you do, they will lose their stack to yours. You will attack his Digimon and it will just be deleted. Also, you will have blockers with protection more time than them, which is pretty valuable. Also, the Alphamon, the Digiball effect can be really punishing if your opponent plays bad with Oryuken and returns the incorrect pieces, so you need to be aware of all decisions that you're taking. Also Qmon, you can protect Qmon with Decoy to save them. We have a lot of cool interactions. The mirror match is my favorite matchup, since I can basically read its thoughts at any time. And of course we can avoid OTKs with Breath and Kongu. Then the most common aggro matchups all die to Chimeramon, Armoras, Commandra, blah blah blah. Against Commandramon, you need to be aware of what are you having in your stack, just to avoid eating Ultimate Flare. So it is easy. If you Digivolve, let's say you have level 4, Dex level 4, level 5, and then Dex level 5, you can basically survive everything, because you will be a level 4 after the Ultimate Flare hits. And well, this guy is particularly good because he can delete a Commandramon, and it will be a 9k DP with security +1, which is solid enough to attack through security and kill basically everything. So that's it, you can just keep on your level 5. And against Armor Rats, there's not much more to say. Alphamon is pretty good because of the Digiball effect. Well, it can, as Magnamon X is the strongest card that can appear in the security, you can just attack with a Deruga equip and then just go for game. You don't actually need even the Oryuken play. Against the Reaper, if you win the die roll, you will win anyway. There's not much thing to say. Chimeramon is a beast. It can just take the game on its own because it will kill the small Digimons and the Searchers and etc. And if you can predict that your opponent is going to perform the Reaper play, you can just have a blocker with retaliation and just wait for your opponent to perform the play. So it is almost impossible to lose against the Reaper if you're playing correctly. And if they win the die roll, this is the same situation. You are gathering the pieces and making OTKs. The gatekeepers are bad cards against this deck. You can just attack freely with your Alphamons and stuff, hope to the gatekeepers to appear, then delete them with Oryuken. There's not much to say about the Reaper. About Bellstar, same. Bellstar is a matter of having Breath of the Gods, Congo, and Chimera to delete multiple gases, and just don't break. That's the most important part. And well, against security control matchup, you cannot actually lose. You have the Oryuken loops available, but since we're running Congo, both Mastimon and security control are pretty done. If we fail an OTK, we can just throw Congo and we will kill them during the next turn, no matter what. Oryuken can only be deleted by Chaos the Great. So, even if the opponent throws up Wyvern's Breath, it won't kill them. It won't kill Oryuken, so Congo is the perfect card for this matchup. And if we are facing a Sakuyamon, we will just promote, keep some security +1 checks, keep Orymon, make the Oryuken play, kill Sakuyamon, and play Congo. Then our opponent cannot even interact with Oryuken. It will have DP reduction, protection, destruction, protection, and protection against Chaos the Great. And if we save the other copy of Congo in hand and another Breath of the Gods, in our next turn this Oryuken will be safe from DP reduction effects, which are the most popular in the security control builds, and then with Congo it will be immune to Chaos the Great, so we will have easy OTK in the next turn. So we cannot lose even against Sakuyamon. So just tell me, which is the worst matchup of this deck? Then, as we say, the only way to beat a big monkey is with another big monkey. This tournament, this online regional, I didn't actually lose any of my rounds. I got a game loss and a match loss because of that after one of my rounds finished against the guy that won the event, because the judge didn't see something during the game and he was recording. In fact, we didn't know we were being recorded. And this, instead of give me a warning, they gave me game loss, and that's why I'm not the champion right now. I was really sure, and I felt really sure that this was my moment, because this deck is really optimized. I enjoy playing this deck. Actually, this is a deck that I really enjoy to play, and I like so much. So currently a lot of people ask me for tips and advices about the deck. In fact, I uploaded the decklist 2 days ago. So the day before the event, I actually didn't test. I actually didn't play against anyone because I was really chill. In fact, I received one Dory Raymond from the tournament pack with the new artwork and from a friend, and I just played it because of because I wanted to have a tribute to my friend Alberto. So greetings to Alberto Miranda, greetings to Chuso, Dai, and the rest of my playtest team. Well, in the end, I've reached the 5th position of the Swiss. I'm still a little salty of this story with the judges, because it should have been a warning. That was a game that I had completely won. Well, as you know, there were no Garurus on top 8, so I wasn't really scared about any one of of the top 4. I think they were the Reaper deck, a Security Control, the Alphamon that won from my opponent from 6th round, and actually I don't know the other one, but this event should have been won since I was undefeated. And that's it. That's everything I have to say. So if you want to try this deck, just go ahead. You know this is a pretty long deck profile, but I'm not recording anymore until maybe the next format, since after this experience I will need some vacations from the game. And currently this summer is crazy. I also went on vacation, so I don't have as many free time to play tournaments and getting results. So I have just played one store championship that I won, and this online regional, and I think that's everything. I don't think I'm going to play any more until September at least, and I don't know if the ban list will come out, so well, I invite you to test the deck. It's really good, and again, you are only losing to yourself or to the judges depending on who you are asking. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to the channel if you like my content, and take care. Goodbye.